Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video here. We got some major developments here coming out of the Middle East, and this is from Axios. So this is a reputable source here, basically leaking out, and we're going to talk about the timing of all this, guys. But according to this report from Axios, from Barak Ravid, who's very high sources in the Israeli government and the American government, is saying here Israel is preparing to strike Iran fast if Trump's nuclear talks break down. And guys, it's super key to note here. They're meeting tomorrow for the next round of negotiations. And it seems as though we're at some sort of headway here where the Iranians are basically saying, no, basically, we need to be enriching uranium. That's a red line for us. And the Americans are saying, there's under no circumstance is Iran going to be allowed to enrich uranium. So this could be the final negotiation here where we're going to have some sort of decision. Now, this could be leaked by the American side to try and pressure Iran into saying, hey, if you don't agree to our demands here, Israel is going to attack you. But it also could be true that Israel is looking to sabotage these negotiations and actually launch some sort of attack. And there's reports that they're preparing to do this relatively quickly. So let's take a look at this report, very detailed here. And by the way, this could be happening as soon as this weekend, guys, because the negotiations are tomorrow. It's possible they collapse and Israel attacks immediately. Will it be in coordination with the United States? Who knows? We'll talk about it, though. Israel is making preparation to swiftly strike the Iranian nuclear facilities if negotiations between the United States and Iran collapse, to Israeli sources with knowledge of the discussion tell Axios. Now, why does it matter? And this is really important, guys, because again, the negotiations in the beginning were seemed to be pretty nice in terms of the possibility of a deal. Shockingly, after the first few negotiations, the Iranians and the Americans seemed as though they were positive and looking towards a deal here. But in recent weeks, it seems as though this uranium enrichment issue has been key. And according to the Israeli intelligence community, their perception of the negotiations has shifted in just the past few days from believing a nuclear deal was close to now thinking talks could break down soon, possibly as soon as tomorrow. So tomorrow, Friday, is going to be a major day in these negotiations, as sources say. One source said the Israeli military thinks its operational window to conduct a successful strike could close soon, so Israel will have to move fast if talks fail. There's no question the Israelis want to go after Iran. The only question is, to me, will the Americans get involved here? And will Trump push back on the Israel? Will he be able to prevent some sort of Israeli attack? It's also going to be a key question here. The source declined to say why the military believes a strike would be less effective later. Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense to me, but okay. Both sources confirmed the CNN report that the IDF have been conducting exercises and other preparations for a possible strike in Iran. So they're prepping for this, guys. There was a lot of training, and the U.S. military sees everything and understands Israel is preparing. So we're aware what's up. And I want to mention you guys, Pete Hegseth, just a few weeks ago, basically said, yeah, we have the right to attack Iran at a time and place of our choosing because of the Houthi attacks. So the official U.S. government position is, yeah, Iran is awaiting a response. That hasn't been reported much, but Hegseth has basically said, yeah, the Iranians are awaiting a U.S. military response here. So obviously that's a major deal. And again, the key quote, I think, guys, Bibi is waiting for the nuclear talks to collapse and for the moment Trump will be disappointed about the negotiations, maybe tomorrow, and open to giving him the go-ahead, an Israeli source added, using a nickname for Prime Minister Netanyahu. And guys, by the way, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button, and my Patreon and Amazon link are in the description as well, so check that out. And a U.S. official told Axios the Trump administration is concerned Bibi might make his move even without a green light from Trump. And there's been reports of tension between the Trump administration and the Israeli government. Is that really true, or is it just smoke? I don't know. I tend to think, because Trump himself hasn't said anything publicly against Netanyahu. That's why I'm skeptical to believe these reports. But it is possible. And again, Trump on his Middle East trip did not visit Israel, which is super interesting. So there's a lot of different factors at play here. I think within the next week or two, we'll have a really good idea where this is going. And behind the scenes, Netanyahu held a highly sensitive meeting earlier this week with a group of top ministers and security and intelligence officials regarding the status of the talks, probably also potential attack on Iran, an Israeli official said. And again, as I said, the fifth round of U.S.-Iran talks are scheduled to take place on Friday. And Steve Witkoff, the White House envoy, is the guy who's going to be in these negotiations here with the Iranians. And again, the enrichment issue is really going to be the key thing. We'll know if the U.S. says we agree to allow Iran to do some sort of enrichment, we could be on the path towards a deal. If we don't see that, or Iran says, okay, fine, we won't do enrichment, then we could be on the path to a deal. But both sides are saying it's a red line. So I'm not really sure how they get past this here, which is why the Israelis are probably saying, yeah, we're going to see a collapse in negotiations here. And as I said here, Steve Witkoff said, we have one very clear red line, and that is enrichment. We cannot allow even 1% of an enrichment capability. So obviously, this is, I mean, it's pretty clear what he's saying here. I mean, and again, maybe the most concerning thing of this entire piece, two Israeli sources said any Israeli strike on Iran will not be a one off, but a military campaign lasting at least a week. So that's a full on assault. I mean, that's war. Let's just be totally clear about that. What the Israelis are saying is, yeah, we're going to be attacking Iran. It won't just be a one off attack, it'll be a week long campaign. And guys, the Iranian military will respond immediately at Israel and possibly U.S. military bases all across the Middle East. So that's completely ridiculous that it would just be, oh, we're going to just destroy the Iranian nuclear facilities and there would be no broader war. Completely out of, it's just not, it would never, ever happen, okay? And again, this is also the key thing here, which is why I think the administration might be worried. Iran, this is from the foreign minister, Iran will hold the U.S. responsible if Israel attacks its nuclear facilities, the foreign minister Aragachi said. And he's the guy heading the negotiations for the Iranians. So basically what he's saying is if Israel attacks, yeah, we're going to hold the U.S. responsible and we're going to be bombing U.S. military bases across the Middle East. So if Israel attacks, the U.S. will be at war. Let's just be totally honest about it. So obviously this is a massive, massive situation here. And it really isn't getting enough mainstream press as it should because tomorrow is a huge day. It's a huge day in terms of these negotiations. It just is. It just is. As I said, May 23rd, that's tomorrow in Rome. And again, Iran sent a letter to the UN saying Iran, in a letter to the United Nations, stated that an Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities would be seen as direct U.S. involvement. So again, Iran basically trying to set the record straight here, sending a clear message to the United Nations. We're going to be holding the U.S. responsible if Israel attacks. So basically trying to maybe send a message to the Trump administration like, do not allow the Israelis to attack us. Because if they do, we're going to attack you. So, and Trump and Bibi had a call today. It's interesting what was going on in that call. Apparently it went well, but who knows why that happened. Apparently they're all in line on Iran, but again, what's actually going on behind the scenes? Who knows? And I think this is interesting as well, guys. Trita Parsi, the Middle East expert, said on CNN today that he does not believe Israel will attack Iran alone without the U.S., which is super interesting. Israel does not have an independent military option, and it's proven quite vulnerable to Iranian missile strikes. Absolutely true. In the last Iranian attack, we saw dozens of impacts on Israeli soil, and that was with the help of American defense system shooting the missiles out of the air. So Israel is 100% vulnerable to Iranian strikes here. So again, it's a very scary situation that could potentially be developing here in the Middle East. And there's no question a war would absolutely tank Trump's presidency. The American people don't want a war with the Middle East, especially his base guys. Trump again was elected to end all wars, and even now he's kind of presents himself as an anti-war candidate. This would completely derail everything, which is why I'm not sure he actually wants a war with Iran, but he might be drawn into it regardless. And his rhetoric himself, he's basically said, "Yeah, I'll be going in with Bibi if he decides to attack." Had situation changed? We don't know, but tomorrow is a huge day, and I'll have it all ready for you guys. So crazy things developing here in the Middle East. And guys, again, make sure to like and subscribe. Super good for the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Will Israel attack? Will the U.S. attack? Major things going on in the world right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.